they can pick it up.
Okay, so I just hit the recording button so I wouldn't forget. Good morning, ladies. I'm Darlene Swistock from the Buckles office. And again, we are happy to welcome our new colleagues from South Orange to today's training. Thanks for attending. The training should last about an hour, and we'll use the chat box for questions. And we found that if you go into the full screen layout, sometimes it's a little bit easier to see Joseph's screen. So if you click on layout in the top, sort of towards the right-hand corner, you'll see a drop-down where you can go into full screen view. That will probably be helpful. Again, if you have questions, please type them in the chat box as you think of them, and Margaret will monitor the chat box and relay those questions to Joseph. So we'll ask Joseph and Margaret just to introduce themselves, even though they really don't need any introductions. But we'll just go through the formality and then we'll turn it over to Joseph.
So Margaret, you want to go ahead first?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret Rose O'Keefe. I am the Cataloging and Special Projects Librarian at the Buckles office, and I'm also the project manager for the transition, which of course has now happened from for South Orange to Buckles.
And I'm Joseph Palmer at the Buckles office. I am the web development and products coordinator, and basically your web guy. So anything web related, I'm the guy that's going to help you, from email to applications like LibCal that we cover today. So let's get started. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And today we're going to walk through LibCal. So we're going to walk through how to log in, how to navigate your calendar tabs, all the options that are available for you to customize your calendar, how to create a new event, and how to create a series event, as well as registration forms, and then taking that calendar and embedding it onto your website. So I am logged in right now into Buckles Connect, and the best way to get to LibCal is to be logged into Buckles Connect. And if you go to the launcher menu in the top right-hand corner and click that launcher menu, you'll see one of the options is LibCal. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's going to open up the login page for me. And I'm going to log in with my user account. We will I'll probably flip into an admin account a little later in the discussion. So once I'm logged in, I'm just going to double check in the top left-hand corner. This blue drop-down menu should say LibCal. Sometimes when you log in, it will automatically go to LibApps. Just make sure you choose LibCal from the drop-down menu. And you'll see this is your home page. And across the top, we have a few options. The ones to really pay attention to are the Events tab and the Profile tab. And we will look at that Profile tab in a moment. So once you are logged in, when you do log in, you're going to use the email address of events@sopl.org, sopl.org. And that account has already been set up for you. You should have received an email at that account at events@sopl.org with instructions on how to reset or create a password for your account. So once you log in and create that password, click that link and create the password. If you haven't already done that, make sure you go to that email account and log in and find that. You'll be able to create a password for your account, and then you'll have access to your account calendar, the South Orange Library calendar. So first thing I want to do is find my calendar. So in order to do that, I go to the Events tab. I'm going to click on Events, and you'll see a list of all the calendars that we have for all the different libraries. South Orange is on the second page, so I'm going to navigate to the second page. and you'll see down here, if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see South Orange Public Library. You can go ahead and click on that, and that will bring you directly to your staff calendar. You have a couple of other options here, the Event Explorer, which is where you run some reports, and then also this is your public calendar URL. So we'll see that in another view too. So I'm going to click on South Orange Public Library, and if you see here, this is just a basic calendar. There's a few basic options across the top. Now, my account does not have access to this calendar, so I don't have very many options here. So I'm going to flip over to a calendar that I do have access to, just so you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to go to the Buckles Library calendar. So now you're going to see a lot more options across the top, a lot more settings, and then you'll see a banner image across the top here. And then we have a test event in the calendar, and you can also see there's a bit of styling happening. So the bar across the top has a black background, blue lettering. So these are all things that you can customize for your own calendar. So let's just take a little tour of what's happening here. On this calendar page, I can add a new event by clicking this button here. I can also add a new event just by clicking or double clicking in a date. So if I double click in this on the 6th here, it's going to open up my form to fill out to create an event. We'll do that in a moment. Go back to the calendar page. I can go directly to a date. I can navigate through the different months here. Over to the right, these are all of my filtering options. I can search for a specific event by just typing in that keyword. I can have, these are my different views. So right now we have the month view. I can change it to a week view or a day view, and then the agenda view as well. This is going to show you basically all of the different events that you have for each day. Across here, we have our public URL again. And just like I showed you in your in that main events page, you always see the public URLs here. And if I go ahead and click on that, I'm just going to open it up in a new tab so you can see in this new tab, this is what it looks like to the public. I don't have a lot of events on this calendar, so you're not going to see anything happening here, but you do see my banner image across the top, and you also see different views that you can choose. Now, if I want to show, right now I'm showing the monthly view. If I want to show a weekly view or link to a weekly view, so this is what my weekly view looks like, I can now grab this link out of the URL and grab that URL and post it somewhere or link to it if I want to. So monthly view, and then again, list view. And as I do that, you can see that the URL changes each time. So if you want to add a link somewhere, that's how you're going to do that.
Joseph, we have a question from Keisha. Do we have the ability to personalize our own banner?
Yes, I will definitely cover that today.
Thanks.
No problem. So let's just go across the top here now. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to also mention you have a couple of different print views that you can choose from down here as well if you print your calendar. Now let's go across the top here. So I mentioned before Event Explorer, and Event Explorer is basically running some reports about your events. So you basically just need to fill out all this information and then submit that, and it will run the report for you. There's a couple of different versions of reports on LibCal. If you want to know more about any of these fields, just go ahead and hover over the little eye icon, the information icon, and that will give you more information about what these fields are asking. The other place that we're going to find reports is under stats. So we'll cover that in a minute. You don't really have to worry about publishing workflow because you only have one account. So you're not going to be publishing it through another account. You're not going to be submitting it to another account before it gets published. So you don't have to really worry about that. Calendar settings is definitely something you want to check out. So this is the title of your calendar here. And then in the next box, we have a little short description. This is where you're going to add your banner image. Sorry. So this is where you're going to customize that banner image. Now, this doesn't really tell you much. This just has the source code. So if you go back to Buckles Connect, we have a lot of documentation on LibCal. And one of the documents that we have is how to customize your banner image, and also how to customize your profile box. And I'll show you that in a minute as well. So if I go to Pages and then Training, you'll see all of the different documentation for the different products that we support here. And one of them you see down here is LibCal. I'll go ahead and click on that. And then we have lots of different documentation on how to get started, how to customize your banner image, how to customize your profile for the event organizer box, or create a new event, manage events. So definitely check these out. Some of them are written by us. Some of them link to the support pages within LibCal. So definitely check them out. A lot of your questions will be asked here. And then if you scroll down, you'll see there's a couple of other things that happen below that. So the one I wanted to mention first was to customize your library's calendars, your library calendars banner image. So if I click on that, opens the document, and in the document, you're going to see that source code that I showed you. So it's going to show you 3 different parts of that source code that you're going to want to update. One is in yellow, that is the link to the actual picture, the image. The blue is just the alt text for the image. And this orange color is the link to your library. So if you read through the document, it's going to show you what size image to create, and then how to upload that image to LibCal. Basically, within LibCal, I'm going to flip back over here, you're going to need to flip over to LibApps, like I mentioned before. So you can navigate over to LibApps by going to the LibCal dropdown in the left, top left corner, go to LibApps, and then this is where you're going to see the image manager. So right here, you're going to click on Image Manager. You can create a new folder. You can create a new folder called Banner Images, and then upload your new image. And once you do, you'll see this image here has a little link icon. If you click on that link, it's going to show you the URL for that image. Go ahead and copy that image URL, and then you're going to paste that into that code, so it knows what it's looking for. I'm just going to switch back over to LibCal. So once I've done that, I go back to LibCal, and I have to go back to my calendar, and I'm going to go again to the library events calendar. Under calendar settings, that short description right here. So within that short description, you're going to paste that source code that you just copied, that image URL. You're going to paste it right in there. And then you can, again, update the alt text, and you can add a link to it as well if you want it to link to your website. So that's how you're going to update your banner image. If you need help with any of that, just let me know. I'm happy to help out. Just drop me an email, and I'll help you any way I can. So if we just scroll through the other options on the general settings page, this is your calendar visibility. This just means that, yes, the public can see it. This is your calendar owner. Yours is going to say South Orange Public Library. So I would say, do not change that, because then you will not have access to your calendar. And then you can see the different default registration forms. So if you create a registration form that you want to be the default one, you always want to use that form unless you choose something else. Go ahead and change that here. And I'll show you how to create a registration form today. And then the other things that you can really, that you might want to take note of is your friendly URL. Yours says right now South Orange here. You can change it to something else. If you'd rather Sokol, you can do that. Whatever you want that final address to be for your public URL. And then in the places below, we have allowing events to book multiple rooms and locations. If you do that kind of thing at your library, go ahead and make sure you allow that. Otherwise, you'll only be able to choose one location when you're creating an event. And then do you want to make registration required whenever you're creating an event? And that just means that whenever you create that event, it's always going to have that option. And so it'll show you the registration information right away. Or if you want to choose each time, you can do that. You can make that choice within the event setup. And then at the last one is this option is to prevent duplicate identification methods. So basically, if you have patrons who register multiple people using one email account or one phone number, make sure you do not check this. Keep this unchecked. That way they can register multiple people using the same email address or phone number. And that's really all you really need to worry about on this page. Please do not delete the calendar. It'll just be that much harder to get back. So next we go to email settings, and these are all of the default emails that will go out with your event. So if you look down here, email confirmation, you have all these tags that you can use as well and customize your event confirmation. So anytime somebody registers for the event, this is the email that they're going to get. It's a basic mail merge. And they have them for everything from waiting lists to reminder emails, follow-up email after the event. Definitely check those out and see what you would like them, how you'd like them to read. Just know that every time you create an event, you're going to be able to modify that for the specific event as well. So you're not stuck using these. All right, back to the top. This is our look and feel. This is where you're going to update the look and the feel of your calendar. So before, when I showed you the styling on our calendar with the black bar and the blue text, you're going to do that down here in colors. So you can update all of this information. If you would rather the first hour of your calendar be 10 a.m. because nothing really starts at 8 a.m., you can go ahead and change that here. And how long do you want it to last? And the time slots, are they 30 minutes or would you rather them be an hour? You can update all of this information here. Next, we have categories. So we have a bunch of categories that we've added for the consortium level. So you'll find those when you create an event. You'll see all different kinds of categories. But if you would like to add categories that are specific to your library, this is where you're going to do them. This is where you're going to do that. And that'll help later when you're running reports on your events. So you can add them right here by just clicking this button. It's gonna ask for a name, and you can create a color. If you want to create or use your brand colors, you can also change those colors to kind of reflect whatever it is that you want represented from your branding. When you go here, you will see all of these will be empty, and you'll just have to add your own new ones. You don't have to add any if you don't want to. You can just use the consortium level ones. It's up to you. Integrations, we have the Google Calendar integration, and basically what this is doing is it's allowing LibCal to send your information to one of your Google calendars. It is not pulling the information from a calendar, it is pushing it to the calendar. And if you would like to do this, this is something we would have to set up together, so just make sure you contact me and we can do that together. And then you have your social media accounts down below, we go on to embed and import, and this is really your iCal subscription. This is where you're going to, you may need to use this to embed your calendar into another location. Okay, so that's your basic tour through these tabs. Let's go over to the calendar and create a new event. So I'm going to flip over to Tenafly's calendar first, because I just wanted you to see what everything looks like, what their calendar looks like for their staff, what it looks like for the public, and then how they've also used their colors to reflect their branding. So if you see, all of their events are colored in a way that reflects their branding. They have a beautiful calendar banner image across the top. This is their staff view. right? So if I open up this link here in a new tab, I'm going to see their public view. So now they have a lot more options because they have more events coming up. So if you hover over one event, you'll see more information about it. If I click on that event, I'm going to see an image for the event, a title of the event, more information about it, or a description of the event. And then underneath here, you're going to see the date, the time, the location, and this is specific to their library. This is one of their spaces that is within their library that they have given to me, and I've inputted into the application. And then this is just basically the accounts that they're using. And then these are their audience members. This is who they're trying to market to, and then, or who the event is for. And then we have also the categories, and these are their categories that they've added to it. This is the event organizer box that I mentioned before. So the event organizer box is a way of providing your information to your patrons anytime that they click on an event. Or if you embed this event somewhere, they'll always see this information. So we have, they've added their logo, they've added their library name, their email, and their contact information, as well as their social media account. So in order to update this box here, we want to open up that document that was in the LibCal page of Buckles Connect, and you'll see the third one down. It's customizing your profile for the event organizer box. And this is, again, going to give you a little bit of source code that you can then update and then add to your profile. So it'll walk you right through it, what you have to do. So once you're logged in, you're going to go to your profile, and then you're going to paste this code into the source section of your profile. So let's go back and find that, see what that looks like. So here in my my LibCal account, I see across the top profile. Before I mentioned there were two places that I really want to pay attention to, the events tab and the profile tab. So when I go to the profile tab, here is my profile text area. As you see, I just have my email address and some basic contact information. But in order to paste that code in, I need to go to the source section. So I'm going to click on source, and here's that source code. I'm going to paste that source code in, and I want to make sure that I update it with all of my correct information. So the information that I need to update is all highlighted in yellow, and you'll see you need to update your email address, your physical address, your phone number, and then if you have social media accounts, and I know you guys do, if you want to add those, this is where you're going to add them in. And so you have the address and also the name of it. So make sure you update both of those things. And you'll see here, here's my Facebook address, and then here's the name for Facebook, and that's how it will appear. And then each one also has that icon that goes along with it. So you can do that all, and it'll update, again, this event organizer box. So anytime your patrons click on one of those events, they will see it. Okay, so again, put it in the source code, and then just make sure you click save at the end. Your profile image that was here, that was their, in Tenafly's event organizer box, they have their logo. This is where you're going to add your profile image. So you can actually just launch the image manager from here. It's really convenient, and just add your image there. Okay, so just going to flip back over to Tenafly so we can look a little bit more. So here was the main image for the event, the title, and we're going to see all these things when we start creating events. Again, this was the public view of our calendar. And let's go back to our calendar so that we can create one of those events. So before I mentioned that I could add an event by either clicking this button here, or I can just double click into the day. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to double click into the day. And when I do that, automatically the date is updated within my event creation form. So this is the day I want the event. Now, say I double clicked on the wrong day, no big deal. I'm going to change that date. So there it is, Friday the 29th. I need to choose a start time, say 1 o'clock. Let's choose an end time. Maybe it's a 2-hour event. I'll say 3 o'clock. And then we have the setup padding and the teardown padding. So basically, if you want to make sure that the room that you are putting this event into, the room that you're choosing, if you want to make sure that you're able to schedule that room, say like 15 minutes before your event and maybe 15 minutes after your event, make sure you add some padding time in here. So that way nothing else gets scheduled into that room. Now, if you choose padding 15 minutes before and you're choosing a room, and we'll choose a room in a moment, when you choose that room, if that room is already occupied within those 15 minutes, you will not be able to choose that room. You're going to have to either take away the setup padding or you're going to have to choose another room. So it'll really help you organize your spaces as well and know who's in a room when and what's really happening there. So you can choose to add padding before or after the event. Make sure that you have all that time. So if it is a one-time event, that's all you need to do, add the date and the time. If this is a recurring event, you want to make sure that you choose this event repeats. If it's an all-day event, obviously you're going to choose the all-day event option. Let's say that this is an event that repeats, and I'm going to say this event, rather than choosing daily or even weekly, or I can choose monthly, where it happens maybe the first Sunday of every month, or this is a Friday, so maybe first Friday of every month, I'm going to choose specific dates. So this is my first date that I chose. So I'm going to make sure I add that date to the list. And then I'm going to choose a few other dates. So they don't always happen on Fridays. Maybe they happen on a Tuesday. I'm going to choose that date and I'm going to add the date here. And then I'm going to choose another one. Let's say it happens that Friday over there, and I'm going to add the date. So make sure whenever you choose a date that you also click add date, and you'll see a list of dates that you've added for this event. Now it will always appear on these dates. And now later when I choose if it's a series event for registration, it will register everybody for those dates. So moving on, we have the title and event info section. So we just make sure you always create a title for your event, and then you need to add a description. And this is a basic WYSIWYG template, so you can or interface, so you can customize the way you want this to look, just like you would in any document. If you're unsure, again, with any section or any field, go ahead and hover over the information icon and it'll tell you more about it and with the options for each one. If you want to set a featured image, this is where you will do that. If you have a link to that image, you can just paste it right in here, or you can upload the image or add it via the image manager. Maybe you already have an image within your image manager. You want to add it there. So this, I'm just going to flip back over to the event. That this image right here on the left, that is the image that you're adding right now. So that's our featured image. If you read our LibGuides, or if you follow any of the reader's advisory that the committees put out, you can choose a LibGuide, which is a reading list that might relate to the topic that you're creating. You can go ahead and select that here. You do not need to. And then this is our friendly URL. So if you would like to choose a specific URL with the ending for this event, you can go ahead and do that here. Again, it's not required. If you notice, it does not have an asterisk, so it is not required. Moving into event details, this is where you're going to choose your account. So I need to make sure that I choose the library where this is going to happen. So obviously we would choose South Orange Public Library for that. And then the location, and this is a little confusing. This is where you want to make sure that you choose the account. So this is where you would choose South Orange to make sure that it is connected to your account and it uses that event profile box. So if you're unsure of these, go ahead and hover over. I know they're very confusing. You basically want to make sure that they both say South Orange. So this is the campus or branch, and this is the library that you're really choosing. So that's where it's going to happen at South Orange. And then the second option is the location. But really what this is doing is it's choosing what information is being put into that event profile, or the event organizer box. And that's where you want to make sure that you choose South Orange. All else fails, choose South Orange. If you have a presenter for your event, you can go ahead and choose them here. Again, all of these things can be left blank if you'd like. If you have a specific type of audience that you want to choose, you can do that here as well. And these are the audiences that are set from the consortium level. And if you have an anticipated attendance level, enter that here, and this will really help later when you're managing the event. This is the anticipated attendance and how many did you really get. So you're running those reports that will help you kind of maybe focus your marketing differently. And these are the categories. So the top categories are the ones that are specific to your calendar. These are the ones that you have added. And then these are our system-wide categories that are below that. So you can go and choose one of those categories if you'd like. You can customize the color. Again, this is like Tenafly did. They customize it so that it reflects their branding. And this really is only really happening where you really see it all together. It's really only happening on your staff page now. It used to happen within the calendar, an embed calendar. It's not really happening as much anymore, and I'll show you that in a moment. If you have internal tags that you want to use, or if you want to add an internal note, and this is, again, only seen by you, you can go ahead and add that here. Now, this is where we need to choose a specific location within your library. So if you click on this drop down, you're going to see a lot of locations. And these are all, if you notice, they're labeled library town first, and then the name of the room. So what I need from you is a list of locations from your library that you would like added to this list. So when it's time for you to add a room, so say you use the children's room, you're going to type in South Orange, and the list of South Orange rooms will show up, and you're going to choose the room that you want. That way, when somebody else is trying to create an event, you won't be able to book them in the same room. The system will keep track of that. So any rooms that you use for events, make sure you send me a list, and I will update that for you. And anytime that you have a new room or a new location, it doesn't even have to be in the library. It's any location that you use. So it could be the gazebo outside. It could be another location in town. Just make sure you send that over to me, and I'll add that to the list. And then when you're creating your event, you can choose that location from this drop-down menu. And then if it is a location outside of your library, make sure you add the address within your description for the event. If this is an online event, you can choose to add that. But if it's not an online location, you just keep this option selected. And just so you know, whenever you add an event space or a location, it will automatically check the system to make sure that that location is available. So as soon as you choose it, you'll see it says that it's available. If you choose, this becomes a draft and you want to go back to it later and you want to check the availability on it, just go ahead and check availability and it'll tell you again, yes, it's still available. So it's a really great way to kind of keep everything organized. If you don't have a location, choose no location. Just know that anytime, if you notice, anytime I choose another location, it just adds it to the list. So you have to make sure that you uncheck anything that you're not going to use. Okay, so let's say no location for that one. Now this is the fun part, your event registration. So if you would like registration to be collected online, this is where you need to check off this box. So before we saw this in the calendar setting, where this could be a default option. So if you know you're always going to have registration required, go ahead and choose that in your calendar setting. So this box, all of these fields will automatically appear for you. You can always uncheck it. So this is, make sure you fill out all of these fields. The maximum in-person registration, again, you don't have to fill it out if it's not necessary for your event. But if you want to keep track of these things, go ahead and fill these things out here in the registration form. So you need to choose a registration form for your patrons to then register. The default one right now is full name and email. So when they register for an event, all that will come up, all that will be required from them is their full name and email address, and then they'll be able to register for the event. I'm going to jump back over to the Tenafly event, and I just want to show you what it looks like for their event. If you notice, they have a lot more options because they've created a registration form that is specific to this event. So they've asked for their full name, their email address, their phone number. And if you notice, the full name and phone number are the only required things. They don't require the email address. And it's reflected within that asterisk right there. And then they've asked a couple of other custom questions. And then once the patron fills that out, clicks register, they'll be registered for the event. So how do you create a registration form? Let's go check that out. Back when I hit events and I went to this events tab, there were 3 different options across the top. One is the calendar list. That's how we got to your calendar. The next one is registration forms. So these are all of the registration forms that exist within our system. So these are all created by different libraries. If you notice, most of them follow the naming format where you name it with your library town first, and then the name of the registration form. So that is the naming convention we'd like you to follow. So that way it's much easier to find when you're going through your list of registration forms. To create a new form, just click Create New Form. Or the other option is you can actually copy an existing form. So if you go through, if you see, you can actually click through all of these. You can click the edit button. Please do not delete them and do not edit them. But you can actually click on them and see what it is that other libraries ask and see, what the options are. If you see one that you like and you want to start with that one, all you have to do is copy that form. So you click Copy Existing Form, find the form that you want to copy, and then choose a new name for it. Again, it would be South Orange, and then whatever you want to call it, and click Save. Then it's kind of a great way to get started without having to input everything on your own. Or maybe you already have it and it's just easier for you to create your own. So we'll do that here. I'm going to click Create New Form. I have to name it right off the top. Let's name it South Orange Test 1. I click Save. And now I just need to find that form. There it is. On the right side, I'm going to click Edit. And on the left side, this is where I first need to input my identification methods. On the left side, and all of my questions. On the right side is the preview. So this is what it's going to look like to your patron. So I like this. I have full name. I have an email address. Maybe we want to add a phone number. And I'm just going to make it active, but not required. So I'm going to click active here. So it will appear to the right. And then this is my label. And if you're not sure what that means, just go ahead and hover over it. If you need to add some additional help information to help them understand how to complete it, maybe you want it in a specific format, you can go ahead and write that here. And if I click Save, you'll see it shows up. So this is just my little help. Maybe this could say, the format that you want it with parentheses for the area code, something like that. And then this is where you're going to add all of your extra questions. So if I want to ask a question, and I always like, what's your sign? And maybe instead of a drop down or check boxes, for this option, you could definitely add some options for them in their answers, but let's just say I'm going to do a single line text, and I'm going to make this one required. I add that question, and here it is on the right. So if you notice it has the asterisk, it is now required. So that looks really good. I'm happy with this. Let's go back to my event. And I'm going to choose the registration form. So here I click this drop down, and now I just need to scroll through until I get to South Orange. And I apologize, there is no quick way to do this. You do have to scroll through to get to your registration form. And oh, I didn't save it. Oh, sorry, I need to refresh this page. So once I have created that form, I'm going to need to refresh this page. So I would recommend that you either save the form ahead of time, or make sure you save your unpublished draft here at the bottom. And I'm going to submit that as an unpublished draft. Now telling me I need to add some information. So I have to set my maximum number of registrations. And let's say 100. And see if it's going to let me save it. I might have to add some more information. Great. So I've saved it. Now I'm going to go in and find that event, and here it is. So now I need to go back into the event, and I need to either modify the single event, just this event that I clicked on, or I need to modify all the recurring. And since I wasn't done yet, I'm going to modify all the recurring. So anytime you need to get back to an event, anytime you need to modify any information in it, this is how you're going to do it. So I'm just going to close this out one more time so you can see that. This is the event I was just working on. If I hover over, it gives me the information that's there, and it shows me it's an unpublished draft. So I'm going to click on that, and it opens this extra window for me, and I can see all the information. I can see this is my event URL. I can actually go and view that here and see what it looks like. Or I can modify it, just a single one. Let's do all of them because I wasn't done. So I'm choosing that modify all recurring events. And I'm going to scroll down so I can find my registration form where we left off. So let's choose that from the drop down. And now, again, I have to scroll through until I find my South Orange one. Here's my South Orange test form. I choose that from the list. And there's my registration form. And I'm going to save that. So as you're creating these events, it's a good idea to make sure that you set up any registration forms ahead of time, that you set up your profile box ahead of time, and of course that banner image will also be done ahead. That way you don't have to worry about doing any of this back and forth. And then we just need to make sure that we choose when the registration opens, when it closes, and it'll give you a bunch of different options here. So you can either have it close at the event start time, but if you like to do it beforehand, you can choose one of these options. If you have a cost for your event, you can choose, you can add the cost for the event as well. Notice the asterisk, you definitely have to add the open and close time for the event. If you would like to add somebody automatically as a BCC for that confirmation email, so basically anytime that somebody registers, if you would like that registration email to go to somebody other than your main events@sopol.org email account that is attached to this account here, you can add that. So if you want it sent to you because it is your event, or if you want it sent to one of your colleagues, you can add that here. Notice because I left the event and came back, each one of these things has its own save button because I'm able to update each one of these separately, and it will maintain the information for the rest of the event. Underneath the event cost, we have a couple of options here. Do you want to first, I'm just going to go to the second one first. If you want to allow a waiting list, go ahead and choose this option. That way, once you've gotten to your maximum number of online registrations, they will automatically be put to a wait list. So if somebody cancels, the system will pull from that wait list. You can also allow multiple attendees within a single registration. So if you would like people, like we saw before within the calendar settings, if you would like people to be able to register with multiple people with one type of registration, you can do that. So if you want like a mother to be able to register all her 12 children, you can add that option here. And this is where you set your reminder emails that we saw before. And if you choose to have a reminder go out, not only will it show you the default email that you have set up within your calendar settings, within those email settings, you can also go in and actually update this to be specific for this event. And it'll show you a little preview of that as well. You can send a follow-up email as well by just choosing one of the options here when you would like that follow-up to go. Maybe it's just an hour after the event, and it'll again show you all of your options it'll give you that editing window, and then it'll show you the preview. And finally, at the bottom, which is what we saw before, is that unpublished draft, the status of it. Do you want it to be an unpublished draft, or would you like to choose to now publish this event? If you'd like it to publish it and go live, choose publish and then click save. So because I left this event and then came back to it, I'm not able to update one of the pieces of the registration. I want to go ahead and do that again for you, just so you can see it. This was an event, in a recurring event. And because it was a recurring event, I can choose to have my patrons register for each individual event within this series, or I can have them register once for all of the events in the series. Because I left that event while I was creating it, I don't have that option anymore when I go back into it. So basically now for those 3 events that we just created, they're going to be registering for each one. So I'm going to just start a new one and just kind of quickly go through it so you can see how that happens. So I'm just going to set this up again. Don't need any. And choose my library. And for this purpose, I will choose South Orange. And for the location, I'm just going to keep that the same. Don't have to worry about any of that other thing. And I'll choose no location for this one. And here's my registration as required. So this, as you saw, sorry, scroll. This, as you see, looks exactly the same as it did before. I can allow multiple attendees with a single registration. I can allow waiting lists. Cool. So I'm going to scroll back to the top and add a few more dates to this event. So I'm going to make this event repeat. I'm going to choose those dates. And let's do this one. I add the date. I choose another one. What was my original date? Add the event. I just need to choose a few dates to add. Here's my list of event dates. Now, when I scroll down to the registration section, I want to show you there's another option down here. There's an option called Series Link Registration. And if you hover over it, it's going to tell you that if I choose this, and basically what it's going to do is it's going to allow my patron to register for all of the events within the series with just one registration. So like it says, say you have a training session that spans for multiple days to the same group of people, there's no need for them to go in and register for each individual event. What's going to happen is they're going to have the option to register for all of the events at once. So all I have to do is click Series Link Registration. And then you just want to tell the system when do you want them to be able to register? Are they allowed to register right up until the last event in the series, or is there another option? Do they have to register before the first event starts, basically? So if you want to make sure that they register before the first event starts, do not click that. If you want to allow them to register at any point in time during that series, go ahead and click that. And again, you can hover over that. to find more information. I hope that made sense. I had to flip back out and back in again. Do you have any questions about creating an event or creating a series event or even a registration form?
There's nothing yet, but we can give it a minute for them to type if you want. Okay,
Sure.
so yeah, a question just came in. Just to clarify, since we have two emails, librarian at SOPL for inquiries, etc., but for children, teen programs, events, we use the youth services at SOPL email. Is this where we make that adjustment, or can that be done initially when creating the event?
Is where I'm not sure I understand when you said, is this where we can make the adjustment? Where is that? You
I'm
mean
going
where?
to, I'm going to just send a unmute request to see if she can explain.
Sure.
Thank you, Margaret. Hi, good morning, Joseph.
Good
So
morning.
we have the youth services email. Sorry, this is Keisha. We have the youth services email that we use for communications and such, but what we'd also like to use for events. So when we're creating an event, story time, teen volunteer, when we're creating that event, can we put that email address down initially? Or because you mentioned some time ago there was one email that we'd have to use, but on this other page now, can we put the youth services email in as the one that we're using to communicate all of those registrations? Or can we put the youth services email on initially instead of using the librarian at? Like, we don't want to get adult program registrations in the youth services at if there's only one email to use. So that's why I wanted to know, where do we make that adjustment, or can we use the youth services initially?
So there is one email address to log into the system so that it covers your profile, your account, and that is events@sopel.org.
Okay.
Now, when you're creating the event and you want the registration to go to a specific email address, this is where you're going to want to add that, the BCC confirmation email.
Okay.
This is where you can have that go to, I think you said like youth services or something.
Gotcha.
It can go to that group. Now, if you want it to go to that group, I need to make sure I open up that group. If it isn't already, I need to open it up to users outside of the organization so that the system can actually send it to you. So I'm just going to make a note of that.
Okay. Yeah, it's youth services at SOPL.
Other than youth services, is there another group that might create events?
Yes, for the purpose of the teen volunteer program, that's used over the summer primarily, but also generally throughout the year, it's volunteer.
Okay.
Singular volunteer at sopl.org. But I don't know, a couple weeks ago, or for some time, I guess that email, there was an issue with it. And I think Brent was trying to reach out. This is totally unrelated. I think he needs to have admin rights to it. So I don't even know if that email is up and working. But prior to our switch with Buckles, we had volunteer@sopl.org. And that's what I'd use primarily for anybody who was interested in volunteering, but also signing up for different things.
Okay. And you'll create events on your calendar for things like volunteering and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll double check on all of those things for you, including making sure that the volunteer one is working correctly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll make sure that both youth services and volunteer are open to people outside, or people outside the organization can email it if it's not already done.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're welcome. And so then definitely add that to the BCC confirmation email. That way that group of people is contacted when anytime anybody registers for the event.
And Keisha, would you think that librarian would use events as well?
I would think so, but I think that's more so Erica's call, since Erica does the adult programming. I don't know if you want to unmute Erica if they're here, but
so that's the same thing. You'll always, whoever's creating an event will log into LibCal using events@sopal.org. And then when you're creating the event, definitely add any extra email account that you want. And I'll double check on the librarian one too to make sure, just in case.
Okay. Yeah. Librarian is used for a lot of different things.
Okay.
And so that's why I wanted that separation from like youth services.
Right. It's most likely already set up that way because if I remember correctly, I think that's what we talked about, making sure that people can contact you using those groups.
Okay. Yeah, and Erica just said having librarian at would be great. Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about event registration forms or creating an event, series event?
Yes, series event. So going back to the teen volunteer stuff. So when I have teen volunteer orientations, which is what I set up prior to teens volunteering over the summer, they have to come to an orientation. Before all of this, I would just say, come to any orientation that you'd like to come to. It doesn't matter whether I have 2 kids or 20 kids in a room, doesn't matter. But now with this, I set them up sort of sporadically throughout the month of June. I only want them to attend one orientation. So do I set that up as a series?
You can set it up as a series, but don't do the series link registration. So the setting it up as a series is basically going to allow you to choose all those dates without having to replicate all the information for each individual event. But then when you do the event registration, don't choose series link registration. That way they have to sign up for one.
Okay. Okay.
I would, once you have created that series event, if you need to edit any information for like one event, just remember that you can go in and manage from here. I can just modify the single event. So basically it's just going, if you need to change some information, maybe it's the time, maybe it's the description, something like that, you can do that for each individual event within the series.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. And last thing, we have not yet determined where our programs are going to be held in the 2-year interim that we're going to be out of the physical location. But when we do, we'll get the list of names to you. I'm pretty sure they're going to be all over the place.
Anytime that you have a new room, or just drop me a line and I'll add it for you.
Okay.
There's no like deadline or anything like that. Just whenever you have them.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you, Joseph.
You're welcome. So I was showing you about this managing the event. So actually, let's go over to Tenafly again, because they have a lot of events that have registration, and jump over to them and show you how to manage an event. So once it's created, right? These things have already gone live. And we're going to look at a couple of different things. First, one that's in the future and one that's in the past. So here's today. Let's look at one that's coming up. Here's an event that's coming up. I'm going to log out and log back in as an admin so I can actually show you these things on their account. Okay. So if you notice it went to LibApps, so I'm just going to make sure I go down to LibCal and I'll navigate to their calendar. And here we are. So I'm going to look for that event a couple days ahead. So here is my management page. This shows me all of the information about the event that's coming up. Here's my event URL. If I click on the little I, it's going to open up a new tab and show me that event. Here it is again. We recognize this. There's the image. Cool. So I can, as I mentioned before, I can modify the event. If it is a recurring event, we would have seen that option here. I can also copy this event. So if I have an event that I've created and I'm going to recreate it again in the future, and it's not part of a series, it's not part, I just like all the information, I can go in and copy this. Then it saves me a lot of time. I don't have to worry about redoing all of that event information. So you can go ahead and copy that, and it'll ask you to rename it and make sure that it is a brand new event. There will be other options too that you have to edit because it can't copy everything exactly, obviously the date, things like that. And then you can create a template from the event. So if you want to create a template based on an event that you've created in the past or that you've already created, you can do that as well. So go ahead and create a template from the event or choose that option. It'll ask you to name it, and any of the information that you want to modify, you can do that there. If you need to delete the event, go ahead and choose delete event. It will also check, it will give you a question as you choose delete event. It will check and make sure that you really want to, and it'll ask you to type in a code to make sure that happens. So you can't accidentally delete something. And you don't have to worry about anything about another calendar because you'll never be using another calendar. And then we can manage the event. So because this event hasn't happened yet, what I'm seeing here is my registration, and I can look at my wait list. Anybody who has canceled their registration, I can email all the attendees. I can create an event button. So if you want to create a button and embed that button onto your website just for that event, you can do that, and that will bring your patrons to the event. And then in this registration tab, you'll see that I can do a couple of things. I can print them, I can export them. I can go ahead and edit the registration of this patron as well, and I can see all the user history for this for that user. And then again, this is my overview of this event. Now, click back. I want to go now to an event that has already happened. So I'm going to go back here and just show you the difference between these things. So now when I go into this event, it gives me all the information, but if you see, it's now going to ask me about attendance. So I can actually input the actual attendance for people in person or people online. Maybe it was a hybrid event and you have information for both of those things. If I click into manage event now, I'm going to see less information. There's not much that I can do with this because it already happened. It was in the past. So I can still create the event button and I can see the overview. I can add some notes down here as well. So the biggest difference here is I'm actually going to be able to input that attendance. Another really cool option within the event management section. So I'm going to choose an event that's happening today. Why did that not show it to me? It might need to be in the past. Oh, because that event hasn't happened. So if I go into manage event here, no, I'm sorry. It has to be in the future. What time is that one? That's strange. I apologize. I'm not sure why it's not showing it to me. So it might be because those events don't have registration, but we know this one does. So on the day of your event, when your event is actually happening, you can come into your management section, management page, and you can confirm their attendance as they appear. So if you wanted to, you could open this up on, say, an iPad and just click check them off as they enter to confirm that they have attended the event. So it's kind of a nice way of keeping track in real time. And then if you wanted to add people to the registration, you can add them as well. So it's a really nice way of maintaining the registration or managing the event in real time. Okay, so we've gone through kind of a lot today. So we covered a lot. We covered how to update your banner image and how to update your event organizer box, that profile box. And just to remind you, those two documents are located in Buckles Connect under training. So if you go to pages and then training, you'll see LibCal as one of the options. And you'll see the number 2 and number 3 are the two that you want to grab that code and stick them into the source section to update those images and the information. And then we do have documents on how to create the event and updating an existing event. So how to go back in, which we showed you today as well. Are there any questions about anything that we covered today? I know we ran a little over. Thank you for sticking around.
I don't see any questions yet, but let's give them a minute to type if they have any.
Okay. So as you're typing, go ahead.
Sorry, Joseph.
No?
Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. As you're typing your questions, just remember, if you need any assistance in LibCal, if you have a question and you can't find the information in those documents, don't forget you can always fill out the support form. So on Buckles Connect, if you go to support page, in this support form, you'll see one of the options is web services. Go ahead and click that and it'll ask you for the application that you need help with. And then the correct team member will get back to you about your question. And 9 times out of 10, that team member is me, but if I'm not around, somebody is my backup, so they'll be able to cover it.
So while we're giving it a minute for any other questions, I thought to save time, I would just wrap up. And thank you, Joseph, for presenting another great class with a lot of information. And thanks everybody from South Orange for taking their time to attend as well. Thank you, Margaret Rose, for being our chat monitor. We will be sending you an email today with an evaluation for today's training. And then when the recording is available, we will share that also with you. So if you could please take a few minutes and just give us your feedback on today's training, it would be helpful. You can also let us know what you would like to see in terms of future training. So I will say thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Hopefully the weather will clear up. It's not looking too good, but hopefully the worst is over. I don't see any other questions. So I think we're going to release everybody, Joseph.
Okay, great. Thank you all very much for being here.
I have a quick question for the attendees. If you could just chat if there's anybody else listening with you, because we can only see your names here, Erica, Keisha, and Shanice. So if there's anybody listening by your side, can you just chat their name? So when we send out the email with the follow-up information, we can make sure to send it to them as well. Normally Lindita would help me with this, but she's not here. No one else with Keisha. Okay, so Erica is listening with Ann Sims.
Okay.
And Shanice, are you by yourself? No one with Shanice. Okay, great.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays. Yes.